Hey guys, Tim here, Big Dog Forge. Hope everything's doing great. It's good to see you back in the shop. Thanks for stopping by. So today we're going to do part 2 of the Jelly Roll Heart Damascus build, that project, and move forward a little bit on this. So without any further delay, we'll jump right into this, and then we'll talk right after. All right guys, thanks. Okay guys, here we go. You remember this, Jelly Roll Damascus Heart with the wrought iron center. What we're going to do is we're going to take that heart that we made and we're going to put it inside a canister with some 1084 powdered steel and see if we can get this to incorporate into a much larger square billet. Alright, and rather than just put some 1084 in this thing, we decided it was going to add a little bit to it, but more on that in a minute. Now we just get this cap welded on the bottom, good and tight. Make sure there's no air gaps. Okay, and there you go. So we cleaned her up with some muriatic acid, and these are the rest of the BBs that we had from the skull Damascus left over. We just mixed it into the 1084 powder and mixed it up really good, kind of spread them throughout there, and it'll give it a little bit of I don't know, maybe a little more character rather than just being this bland heart in the middle of a ocean of blank metal. Alrighty, so we're out of BBs, and this is compacting quite a ways, so we're just going to put some raw 1084 on this end, fill up the canister. And this canister is just about 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches length. We've got it 4 inches long. And it's a little big for my squaring dies on my press. So while I was at the scrapyard this week, I went ahead and picked up some 3-inch by 3-inch tubing for future projects. We'll see how that goes. Alright, I'm going to handle weld it on this thing. And we'll get it into the forge and start warming it up here. Put a little mark on one side indicating that's the top of the heart. I don't know why. I just did. Okie doke. Off to the forge, guys. There we go. So we got our pyrometer hooked up. We're up to 2324 degrees. We'll let it soak in there for a good 15 minutes at that temperature. Now you can see how that canister is a little bit big for those dies, and we could make some larger dies, but it's easier to get smaller canister material and save a little bit on the powdered metal, the powdered steel. And you're going to notice that that die is kind of dropping in the back when I've got all that pressure on the front of it. So Floyd needs a little bit of a rebuild. His slides are getting a little worn out. I've been using them pretty heavily the last couple of months, and that's something that's coming down the road. We're going to do a little video on upgrading Floyd. Alright. So we're going to take this down with some flat dies to 1.5 inches square, and then we'll get it back into some more squaring dies to clean it up. And I'm using a little kiss block there. I'm not going to take it too far at any one time in any direction. I don't want to run the risk of separating something or blowing that canister out, so Took a few heats to do this. Just take a little time to do it right, and we won't have to do it twice, hopefully. There we go. I'll get that guy in the squaring dies. Very nice. Come out pretty good. Alright. We're going to mark them off here where we're going to cut the ends off. And we'll take a little sample sliver off the end so we can clean it up. Alright, so we're cleaning up the top of the heart and the bottom of the heart. We're going to clean that off. But we're going to leave the canister on the sides. There's a reason for that. A little ferric chloride on there to see how much of that canister is left. And it's getting there. Okay, so it's sat overnight, got a little rusty. So all we're doing is knocking the scale off of the sides that we didn't clean up under the mill. And the reason we're doing this is because we're going to mark this guy out and do a series of scarf welds. I've heard people call this a ferry flip. I don't know where that terminology came from. I don't really know if it pertains to this, but it's basically a series of scarf welds. You cut the block at a diagonal, just like that on the bandsaw, and you cut them the same length, and you end up with this situation. Now the reason I left the canister on the sides and I didn't grind that off is because that's where we're going to weld these billets with the MIG welder, and it's going to have to be ground off later anyway. So rather than grind all that canister off down into the billet and then have to grind it again to get the MIG weld out. Now you can see the hearts in that pattern. What we're going to do is we're going to weld this thing together. And we're going to make two billets out of this simply because once it was cut diagonally and laid down into sections, it ended up being quite long. And it's longer than the forge will handle once it's all drawn out. There we go. Now, I've not done this many scarf welds in a row before. I've never welded any kind of Damascus in this configuration before, and I've seen others do it where they weld all the way around to seal off those joints. I've opted not to do that, but we'll see how it works out. It may be the worst idea in the world, I don't know. But I want to get a little bit of that flux down in there, and I just feel more comfortable. However, it's a little counterintuitive because those joints look like when you heat them up and you hammer them together, they're just going to want to slide diagonally apart and not take a weld. But we'll see. We're going to move forward anyway because it's all an experiment, and that's what I like. I like exploration. Alright guys, there they are. You can see those hearts in there. They are ready to weld up, and we will get to that next time. Alright guys, there you go. So this is getting exciting. Did you see those heart patterns in those billets? That's going to be interesting once it's welded up and we start drawing it out. Hopefully those hearts will maintain some sort of heart shape and they won't become too elongated and pointy on top or whatever. We'll have to see. It's all an experiment. And I really don't know what it's well, I do know what it's an experiment in, but what do you call this particular type of pattern welding, this type of Damascus thing? I've not seen it before. I've not seen anybody do this particular kind of thing before. I know it's just canister weld, but when you've got a shape that runs the same way all the way through, so you get that repeating pattern, I'm not sure if there is a name for that. If there's somebody out there that can tell me that, please let me know. That would be great, because I don't know. Just kind of making it up as I go along. So this is a little end cut, and I don't know if you can see this or not. I don't think you can see it very well. Yeah, that's not too bad. Get the light in the right direction. And you can see there's some inclusion and stuff. This was off the very end of the canister where it had part of the cap in there and had a couple of air bubbles. So we trimmed and we ground a little more off after this. But that's how it looked just out of the press after it cooled off, and we just sliced the ends off. They're pretty cool, pretty cool. And then when we cut it diagonally, of course that elongated those hearts a little bit. So I'm not sure if we did ourselves in or what. So I think I'm going to do one, and I'm going to put some higher carbon steel around the outside, kind of like you did with the skull Damascus knife, and then I'll wait to see how that comes out to see what I do with the other one. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate it. I'll do another video. May do a live stream kind of a thing for a Q&A, but I think the new format's going to be a build video, Q&A video, build video, Q&A video kind of a thing. And I've got lots of questions built up from guys asking a lot of questions. So anyway, let's let's move along. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Thanks to all you guys who have subscribed recently. Awesome. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Is really, really cool. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to share what I'm doing with you guys. This is awesome, and I do appreciate it. So it's going to be it for this time for Big Dog Forge. If you got any comments, questions, let me know what kind of stuff we're building here, give it a name, that kind of thing. Let me know down in the comments. So I'll leave a couple of videos up for you. Let me see, how can I do? Let's see if we can do this. And I think they're going to be right here, and previous videos, and there should be a little circle with Big Dog in it right there you can subscribe to, and we'll see you next time right here at Big Dog Forge. If you like what you see, click the like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, think about that. Alright, guys. Thanks for everything. Take care. Bye-bye now. See you later. And be safe.